7 o'clock in the morning and the rays from the sun.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
We are doing part 2 of our first round mock draft, so we're once again joined by our guest. And I need to know, Mitchell, are you still trapped in the closet?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Still in the closet days later.
Yeah, just that dripping noise is definitely not what's going on in here.
Nice. Well, thanks everyone once again for tuning in. I'm Ben Morgan, co-host DJ Primo. We're joined by our guests again, but thanks again for listening. If you missed the last podcast, we kicked off our mock draft. We got through picks 1 through 16, and today we're going to knock out the second half. So I'll let our guests introduce themselves once again in case you're listening to this backwards for some crazy-ass reason. So take it away, guys.
What's up, guys? This is Andrew Erickson. You can follow me on Twitter at @AndrewErickson_, and I'm ready for Gridiron Experts, and I'm psyched for this second part of the draft. Let's go.
Nice.
And I'm Mitchell Renz. You can follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. I'm a writer for the Fantasy Footballers, Gridiron Experts, and check out my podcast, the Empire Podcast, with Gridiron Experts, Mike Riggs.
Why do you have an underscore at the end of your name?
Because somebody took Andrew Erickson.
That asshole.
I was like, what the hell? I thought he got messed up the first time we did it. I was like, we'll give him a second chance.
Someone else is taking the original, so...
We'll have to find him.
Underscores.
We'll find him. We'll take care of him, Hernandez style.
Sounds good, Andy.
Nice. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us. And DJ, we'll hop right to it here. So we just left off with the Ravens taking Corey Davis, and now we've got the Redskins at number 17. That belongs to DJ.
With the 17th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Redskins take Reuben Foster, linebacker, Alabama. Washington. They need to solidify just the middle of their defense, run defense wise, and just the overall best guy left on the board is Reuben Foster here. He's the best inside linebacker in the few games that I did watch of him. The guy is just he's a run stopper. He's a beast. I love watching this guy run through some guys. And you know what? Sometimes you need to dilute your piss a little bit. No big deal. So I like them taking Reuben Foster here. I don't care about a diluted Pete.
Nice. And they just signed Zach Brown a couple of weeks ago, also at linebacker, but it was only a 1-year deal, so you don't really know. Maybe it's just a 1-year prove-it deal. He might be gone. So I think Foster is that ultimate guy that you can put in the middle of your defense there at linebacker, and a guy that you can build around for the next decade. I think he's that good of a prospect. I said on the first version of our mock draft podcast here that I think he's hands down the best linebacker and a guy that you can build around, and I don't see him getting out of the first. So I'm behind it. Do you guys have any feelings on that?
I mean, I like it. I mean, I definitely would have taken him earlier. I have him slotted, I think, at 9 for the Bengals. So, I think you just need to take a little page out of Thad Castle's book and do some oil changes. So.
Yeah, I think that this diluted piss thing is actually going to benefit some team because Reuben Foster's probably going to drop a little bit due to the just some teams are going to be worried. So I think that some team's going to get lucky. So in this case, it's the Redskins.
Nice. Well, I will move on here to number 18th in the NFL draft. I got the Tennessee Titans. Really like them trying to give Mariota another weapon here. And this guy's stock bumped up after the combine because he ran that 4.22 and almost owned an island if he'd have just been wearing a different shoe. So I'm going to end up going with John Ross. I'm not as high on John Ross as a lot of people are, but I think with the way that the Titans wide receiver core is, I think they can afford to have a speedster kind of guy that doesn't need to excel right now at running a full route tree. I think that Ross can be a good fit for a quarterback like Mariota who can throw a pretty solid deep ball, can extend plays, and find Ross deep down the field like what happened.
He's frozen.
He's probably still talking, so he's good. But...
Oh, I'm frozen, but so everyone that can't see, I'm still good, but
yeah, we're good.
No one else can hear me, but I think they're good now. So technical error averted. But I was just saying that John Ross, for you guys, if you couldn't hear me or not, I think he's a good fit because Mariota can extend a play. Like what we saw early in Mike Wallace's career, Roethlisberger could extend the plays, hit Wallace deep, despite Wallace's limited route tree. If John Ross can't run everything right away, which he might be a little bit better route runner than Mike Wallace, but just being able to hit him deep, I think that he can take that offense to the next level. I think, Andrew, you said it earlier in the first half of this, that Mariota might be that one playmaker away from really becoming that next good quarterback and just taking that offense to the next level. So I ended up going with John Ross.
Yeah, I actually really like the pick. That's where I have Ross going as well. And I think, a lot of the points that you make, and I think it's a great football move. I mean, what's the easiest way to take pressure off a running game? And the Titans like to show that they run the ball. It's get a guy who can go deep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can take a guy that goes deep, it won't let defenses cheat up as much, to try to stop that, what is it, exotic smash mouth or whatever the heck it's called, So, I don't know, and I think Ross being able to go deep, I think it'll definitely help. And I don't know, I watched a lot of stuff on Ross before out of the draft, and he was one of the guys who I pegged at Gridiron Experts. And yes, he has the blazing speed, but he's a very good route runner. He can run a whole bunch of different routes over the middle, on the side. Led Washington with 17 touchdowns his senior year. His biggest knock against him is staying healthy. So
right.
I think it kind of hurt him a little bit at the combine. We saw him run that awesome 40 time and then pulled up a little bit and didn't run anything else. But he impressed at his pro day. So
Definitely.
I like Ross.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it too. I think that can be the dynamic weapon that can put Mariota over the top. So I like it.
Nice. Well, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 19 and Mitchell.
Yeah, so I wish I knew how to pronounce this guy's name. He is a defensive back, Obi Melifonwu. We'll go with that. We'll just see how that just rolls right off the tongue. But guy from UConn, what I love about him the most is just his athletic ability. So he's 6'4", 224 pounds, and just go look at his pro day, or go look at his combine scores. The dude just lit it up. And I think Tampa Bay really does need some help, from a safety standpoint, from their corner standpoint. They need some help in their secondary. They improved their offense, with adding Deshaun Jackson, and they have Winston and Evans, obviously. But I think their biggest, weakness right now for that Tampa Bay is their secondary. We saw the Buccaneers defense at the end of last season, kind of come on strong, and I think a lot of that was due to their, upfront presence. So if they can just add, some depth, a little bit more depth behind their first-round selection. I can't think of his name right now, who they took last year's draft from out of Florida, but Hargraves, I believe.
Yeah.
I think if they could add another, just athletic freak, that could definitely help their defense. So going with Obi.
Let's stick with Obi.
Obi-Wan.
I don't mind the pick, but I'm really high on Tampa Bay. I was high on them last year, and I really like them again. And I think, and I don't want to get too deep into this because you already killed our spirits last podcast, Mitch, by ripping on Dalvin Cook. But I love Dalvin Cook to the Buccaneers because he wouldn't have to be that guy instantly that they need to rely on right away. He could just kind of be a spot guy, more of a spell guy. They could have a three-headed monster there in a sense. But that offense could be nasty, though, with the addition of Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, and then you get a playmaker like Dalvin Cook as well. I had Tampa Bay going there, but I see the need in secondary as well, and I think that, especially in that division when you're going against the Matt Ryans, the Drew Brees, the Cam Newtons, yeah, you need secondary help. So I can't disagree with it too much.
Yeah, I guess you must not have heard me enough on Dalvin Cook. Maybe we need to turn up some of those hearing aids, or we got to figure out what the heck's going on over here. So, yeah, I'm going to advise you to, use this thing called Google and rewind and try to figure out maybe what the heck's going on with Dalvin Cook. So, I'll the old podcast.
I'll consider it, man. I'm not like crazy high on Cook, but I can't get him out of the first round. I have to leave him in there. I respect everything you said. I liked it last podcast. If you missed it, like I said, if for some reason you're listening to these backwards, make sure you go back to last time because Mitchell dropped some pretty hard knowledge and facts on Dalvin Cook as to why he wrote an article about it as well. So make sure you check that out. But some information regarding Cook and his injuries, his past, and why he may not be that surefire first round running back that a lot of people thought he was. So with that said, number 20, Denver Broncos. Andrew, who you got?
Actually, I just want to rewind really quick, just to have a quick comment on Obi. So I can testify his athletic prowess because I actually played against Obi when I was in high school.
Nice.
In football. So he used to play quarterback. That just tells you how much of a freak he is. He was actually injured in our game that we played, and he scored like 6 touchdowns. So he had a bummed ankle, and we put our best player on as a spy, and it didn't do anything. He was unstoppable.
Nice.
So obviously now he's playing defensive back, but the kid is an athletic freak. He's whatever. I don't remember how tall is he, Mitch? Would you say
6'4", 224.
Yeah. So athletic freak.
Vertical jump of 44 inches.
Yeah. So I definitely have to agree that he's a plug and play guy who can definitely like come in and help a secondary. So I like it. I like the pick.
Did you record any tackles on Obi?
No, not really. Any of our team did.
That sucks, man.
They lack some DJs.
Jesus Christ.
Nice. Well, thank you for that insight. That's pretty good. I mean, you got to you got to at least kind of smell him. I guess you didn't hit him, but you were on the same field as him.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Yeah, he grew up. His hometown is right next to mine, so it's pretty cool.
Can you pronounce his last name?
What's that?
Can you pronounce his last name?
No. That's the one thing that I don't think most people can do.
Damn it. You'll have to see if you can get a hold of him, bring him on the podcast. We'll have him pronounce his name, and then we'll kick him to the curb because we don't want him beating your damn high school team.
Yeah, exactly.
I know nobody can see this because we're on a podcast, but you kind of look like Mickey Mouse right now with these lights.
Yeah, you do.
I've been trying to center my head right there this whole time. Yeah, if you could get a screenshot of that, we'll post that onto our Twitter page. So that'd be perfect.
Yeah, my phone's dead.
All right. Well, we'll get that loaded so everyone knows what we're talking about. All right, Andrew, let's go to number 20.
All right, number 20, I'm going with Garrett Bowles, Utah, offensive tackle. The Broncos offensive line had some trouble last year. They couldn't really do much of anything. Simeon battled injuries, so Lynch had to play. Their offensive line, as a unit was subpar. They didn't do much against. Anderson couldn't really get much running, and then Devontae Booker was abysmal at best. So, offensive tackle, Garrett Bowles.
I have the same exact selection, so I'm right on there with you. I want to get your opinion, though. What are your thoughts on drafting someone that's basically as old as me? I mean, he's 25 already.
25, yeah.
Well, the offensive line, they've talked about in this draft, it's not super deep, so you kind of got to go with what's available. Obviously, their free agency, there's not exactly too many good players in the line, like Luke Jokel and Matt Khalil, for example. They were 2 offensive linemen that signed nice deals who have been have underperformed at the offensive line position. So it's kind of more like Denver doesn't really have a choice. Like, they need to improve their offensive line.
Right.
And even if the guy's 25 years old, they still have to take that. They got to do it.
Yeah, I think the age thing might be a little bit blown out of proportion because if you think about an offensive lineman, if he has a 10-year career, that's a pretty solid career for a lineman. And if you put him at 35, that's about where lineman's going to retire anyways. So if you have a guy that's going to you're going to get 10 years out of him, some people think it's a big deal when you can draft these 21, 22-year-olds, and the fact that he's 25 is, it's a little bit of an eye-opener, but I don't know. I think it's kind of overblown in some cases.
He'll stay out of trouble. He won't, 25-year-olds, they don't go out and party. That's something that 22-year-olds do. So
yeah,
he'll
exactly.
Behave. In Denver, he won't be smoking any weed. Like, he's good, man. He's 25. He had his turn to do that.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
way past that.
He'll just call Reuben Foster and learn how to dilute that sample.
Jesus.
All right, DJ, who you got the Lions at 21?
Man, I've been looking at this pick and debating this whole time. I'm sticking with what I originally had. I got Hassan Reddick, outside line. He's listed as an outside linebacker out of Temple. I really think you can kind of move him anywhere, and he can play with his hand in the dirt if he needs to. But they had troubles getting to the pass rusher. I know Ziggy Ansah he was injured a lot of the year this last year, and I don't think they got much production out of anybody else. So Aaron Rodgers can kind of pick them apart and have all day. I think they need to have somebody that can get to a guy like Aaron Rodgers in that division. So I like them taking Hassan Reddick, and he's the best player left on my board yet. Well, actually Mitch Trubisky is, but they're not taking a quarterback.
There you go. I'm with you. What do you guys think?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I definitely like the pick, but I also can see them trying to buy into Jabril Peppers, who is still available in our draft. Michigan, Detroit. I think that would make sense.
I guess.
That's a weird reaction, DJ.
I'm like, who cares if they're in the same state? Whatever.
Some people make that correlation. It's like, who was the quarterback? It was like, was it Aaron? I don't remember if it was Aaron Rodgers. It was some quarterback that got drafted by a cold weather team that had never played like in a game 50 degrees or lower. Might have been even Tito.
That was Aaron Rodgers.
Or Rodgers, whoever it was. But I guess that worked out for him. But
he didn't even know where Green Bay was. That was the big thing.
Yeah, it's because he's a big dumb idiot.
He's so dumb.
Yeah, I like the pick too. I think that, Detroit, their biggest need is offensive line, but kind of like what I said before, like the offensive line is not super deep in this draft, so you got to address other things and just kind of go with a talent-based decision at that point. So I like that pick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I have Reddick slotted as well. Same reasons. I think it'd be a solid pick. He can help out a lot of different ways. He can get to the passer. He's athletic enough to hang with tight ends. I think he can do a little bit of everything. He's gonna take a little bit of polishing before he reaches his full potential, but I think it's a solid choice for the Lions there. With that being said, moving on to number 22 here, it's my pick. Coincidentally, I get the Dolphins. I wish you wouldn't have done this to me because you guys have kind of taken the guys that I have my eyes on. I previously had him mocked with Forrest Lamp. A lot of people have him taking Reddick. Those are the two guys I thought would fall to me here, and I'd be able to take from them. But since they're gone, you had talked about Peppers. I think a lot of people somehow think there's a really good correlation between Jabril Peppers and the Dolphins, but I don't see it at all. They already have Rashad Jones, who's like close to a box safety, and that's what Peppers I think would thrive at if he's going to thrive in the NFL. So I don't see the point of the Dolphins taking him there. And then at defensive end, I liked the idea of taking Derek Barnett, but he's gone as well. And with Reddick gone, you left me with no choice but to take the linebacker out of Vanderbilt in Zach Cunningham. So the Dolphins already... What did you say, DJ?
Just that son of a bitch.
Oh.
Just keep going.
Yeah, doesn't this feel like a fantasy draft in a sense where like they take your guy and you have to go back to the drawing board?
I had slot him at the Packers, so...
Gotcha.
Go on.
But yeah, so the Dolphins did address defense, especially linebacker, too, in free agency. They signed Lawrence Timmons. They re-signed Kiko Alonso. They reworked Koa Misi's deal. So they have linebackers, but the fact that Timmons is getting older, there's still a need at linebacker. I don't know that it necessarily is a first-round need, but I think the way that our draft is shaken out, I think that Cunningham is the player that they would value the most, even over some of the cornerbacks that have still dropped to them. And I think it might be too early for some of the other defensive ends that I think that they're more tied to. So I'm going to stick with Cunningham at linebacker for the Dolphins.
How many cornerbacks have gone?
No idea.
We've got...
So it's been...
I only have Lattimore off.
Lattimore, Conley.
I think that's it.
Yep.
I'm surprised you didn't go cornerback because listening to you watch a lot more Dolphin games than I do. And the thing I heard you bitch most about was the cornerbacks consistently.
Yeah.
So I had them take you to cornerback here, but I would have probably not gone with the same cornerback I had. I had them taking Adoree Jackson, but there's other guys I like better on the board. I'd probably go Marlon Humphrey at that spot.
Yeah, and if I had to go one other position, I probably would have went cornerback. The team just keeps raving about how high they are on Tony Lippett, and I just don't see it. I think he's a guy that you don't want as a starter. You can have him be like a guy that comes off a bench or spot play guy in case of injury, but they keep talking so much about the guys that they have in the secondary already that I just don't know that they go that way in the first round. So I agree with you, but that's why I went with Cunningham.
All right.
23, New York Jets. Mitchell Renz on the clock.
Giants, but you're close.
What did
that
I
old
say?
age is showing. The age is showing.
What did I say?
You said
Jets.
Yeah, you
Jets.
said
The
Jets.
guy's wearing a Jets shirt for the second straight day. Doesn't even shower.
Alzheimer's
Doesn't even
is a real
shower.
thing.
He just burned you on that one.
He did.
Alzheimer's is a real thing. All right. Now up for the Giants. I'm going to go Cam Robinson, offensive tackle for Alabama. When I look at this guy, I think, this is probably your prototypical offensive lineman, big dude, really long and lanky. I know he has some off-the-field issues, which is a bit of a concern, but I think the Giants definitely are looking to protect Eli Manning and, improve that offense. I mean, they just signed Brandon Marshall, and I think ultimately, the Giants, I think, ran 96% of their plays out of 3 wide sets, a lot of shotgun. And, Robinson, I think, is a great, kind of big guy, keeps the pressure off of Manning and, ultimately keep him upright and keep that offense moving. I don't know. I was definitely had him pegged to select a offensive lineman. I originally had the guy from Wisconsin, but since Robinson is still available, I'm going to go with Robinson.
So that's interesting because I have the same pick here, but if I had that right now, like if this was their actual situation, I would go Mitch Trubisky here for the Giants.
Ooh.
Because
I don't like Mitch
But they got
Trubisky.
Eli.
yeah, that's a huge drop for him. They have Eli, exactly my point. So he has years to sit behind him in an Aaron Rodgers situation and kind of learn the offense and learn behind a guy who's won a couple of Super Bowls that I hate, but still.
You just can't trust anybody with the name Mitch. I mean, let's be real.
That's true.
Yeah.
The thing about the Giants offseason so far, I mean, they went all in on defense last year with the big free agent signings. They spent all that money on that side of the ball. And then this year they jumped on Brandon Marshall right away, got him on a team-friendly deal. But I think that's showing that they're in win-now mode. And I know DJ and we talked about this as I look like Mickey Mouse again. Shit.
Mitchy Mouse?
Mitchy Mouse. We talked about this, and I thought maybe if Watson fell to them that would be a good fit. But they're really showing that they're in win-now mode. So I like the idea of bringing in a lineman to help Eli Manning, or even like a tight end there would have been fine. But I see what you're saying, DJ, but I'm going to agree with...
this is exactly the same thing that happened. If this happened, this is the exact same thing that happened in basically the freaking Packers draft. Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. All the way down to what I think Rodgers was drafted 24th or 26th. I mean, Mitch Trubisky dropping to 23rd would be incredible.
Right.
But I think the Giants wouldn't have a choice but to jump on that.
Yeah. Andrew, you got any thoughts?
I'm good.
Good. I'm good. Well, you get to go next.
I'm getting ready for my next pick.
Yeah, you're all in prep mode. You got the Raiders here at number 24.
So I don't know how he's still on the board, but I'm going with Jabril Peppers. I think that, I don't know, it's weird because I look at Jabril Peppers and all I do is see Charles Woodson. I don't know if it's just the Michigan thing, and then, Charles Woodson started in Oakland. I just think that him being here at this point in the draft, I think he's fallen. I think that he's a lot better than 24. Is that what I'm picking? 24 overall. So I really think that this is the greatest fit. It's just another player that Oakland can add to. I mean, they're a Super Bowl contender with Derek Carr without a broken leg. So I think that just adding Jabril Peppers is going to make the defense more dynamic, and I think that he could be a stud, just like moving forward for the next 10 years. I like it.
Does someone else want to go? Because I have a feeling on Peppers, and I'm kind of the exact opposite of you on this one. I don't mind him as a prospect, but I don't see him as a first rounder. I can't get over the fact that he's playing a position that creates turnovers and should be in a position to get turnovers, and he's got the one interception in his entire career, and he's never, like, they always make the point that his highlight plays have been on like special teams and then against weaker competition. When he's been playing against the better teams, he hasn't been as much of a factor. So I think he's undersized. I don't know if he has a specific position. Like I said, I think he's going to be an in-box safety, which maybe he'll be fine at. He can be some sort of a hybrid defender, but I don't know. I just think there's too many question marks to put a first-round tag on a guy like that.
Yeah, I think people fall in love with a guy who in college he was playing everywhere on the field, so guys are falling in love with that. And I pretty much echo everything that Ben said. I wouldn't slot him as a first-round pick, and I feel like the only team he really fits in my head is somebody like the Cardinals. So, just my opinion.
I think he's a first-round talent. I had him going to the Redskins because I think he can do so many different things, and I think for a defense, who maybe, you want to talk about a team that the Redskins are going to face a lot of good wide receivers. They're going to face teams, come at you a few different ways. That's kind of why I had him slotted for there. But I think Peppers, he's a really talented kid. I mean, he can do a lot of different things, and I think, ultimately in today's NFL, teams are looking for a player, who they can do multiple things with, multiple schemes. I mean, it's developing more and more every single season. So I like Peppers as a, prospect, and I think he's going to be good. I would take him in the first round, so it's interesting you guys wouldn't, but, younger generation, older generation, whatever.
That's what it is.
DJ, you said you would like him in the Cardinals. Why is that?
They use guys like that in more of those hybrid positions, kind of move them around like that. And so I think it'd be a good fit for them with how they use their different D-backs. They like guys that can play different positions like that. So that's the reason why.
Cool.
Yeah.
No rebuttals, no nothing. Otherwise, we can move on to DJ's 25th with the Texans.
Well, I mean, he dropped here, so I'm taking him. Mitch Trubisky. They need a quarterback, right? So he's dropping this far. If the Texans get Mitch Trubisky, I don't think they're going to hesitate. So I'm going Mitch Trubisky here. I have him slot as my number one quarterback. I like him. I know he only played 13 games, but I think that's another overhyped thing that people use against him. And if he goes to Houston, I see him starting right out of the gate. Who's their starting quarterback? Tom Savage right now? Like, give me a break. So yeah, if they get this luckiness of having Trubisky drop this far, then they're taking him.
Right.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah, I don't know who did it, but I think one of us messed up. I don't think Trubisky's going to last this long, but
No, I don't either.
I don't know, but we also aren't factoring in any trade, so that could be the reason why. Because a lot of the quarterback-heavy needs are obviously the early teams, and if they don't want to take a risk on a quarterback, they're clearly going to be able to trade back up, and since we don't have that option, that's why I think that Trubisky here might be a little unrealistic. But yeah, if he were to fall, or if Houston really likes him and trades up, I think that could happen. Why are you guys smirking?
Check your Twitter.
I can't. I record on that device.
Yeah, Fish just sent a nice tweet.
Oh, great.
That's not a tweet. Not a
All right.
tweet.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Well, why? What did it? I don't even want to talk about it yet. I'll figure.
Into your DMs.
Oh, nice. from the closet, from the closet to the DM.
You know it.
Nice. Well, I'm anxious to see what happened here, so I'm going to pick on to number 26 here with the Seattle Seahawks. I've got them. DJ, you're going to love this. I got them staying at home with a Washington product. They're gonna pick a local kid. They're gonna go with Kevin King, and I like Kevin King here for a couple of different reasons. One, because he's that tall, physical built cornerback that Seattle's really prided itself. Yeah, that's the kind of cornerback that they go for, and I think he really fits the bill there. And then one of the hot rumors not all off season, but more recently, has been the idea of trading Richard Sherman at some point. And while they really haven't denied it, they've basically said, yeah, he's on the block. And while I don't think he's going to get dealt this offseason, they're clearly showing that they're not really tied to him too much moving forward in the future here. So they might be moving on from him sooner rather than later. So whether they have Sherman or not, I don't really care. I think King's a good fit, and I just think that they pride themselves on their defense, and King's a great fit. And the fact that he's still there, I think it's a logical choice to keep him in state.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. I had the same guy going there, just basically because he's 6'3" and he fits the mold of what the Seahawks like to do at cornerback. So it seems like the obvious pick, and it seems like almost everybody I've looked at has him going to Seattle.
Yeah. Any additional thoughts on that one?
Nope, I like it. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, those Seattle, they like their big corners. They like their corners big, tall, and lanky. So, just like Mitch likes his women.
Men. Preferably men.
Yes, come on, get it right.
Wait, yeah,
Come on, he's going to run.
yeah, you're not out yet.
He's still in
So,
there. Nice. Maybe by the 2018 draft you'll be out of that damn closet, but we'll
God,
see.
I hope.
Nice. Well, let's move on to your number 27 pick there with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know. This one was this is a head scratcher for me. I mean, I don't really know what the Chiefs are gonna totally do, and I think really analyzing it, the more and more I looked at it, I did some reading on what Andy Reid said, and I don't know. So I don't know necessarily if it's something that I would do, but I think it's something that they might do, and it's quarterback Deshaun Watson. So when I looked at it, I think we can all agree that Alex Smith isn't going to take the Chiefs to a Super Bowl. And I think the one thing that the Chiefs are missing is a quarterback. Now, I don't know if Watson is, your prototypical pro quarterback, but the guy's proven that he can win in big games. And, Andy Reid has, come out and said that he thinks, this guy, is a very good quarterback and could run the offense. So, with that being said, I think, Watson is a guy who could, manage the offense a lot like Smith can, but I don't really know how much different they truly are. I mean, when you look at true skill set, Watson doesn't really throw the ball very hard. I think he was clocked at throwing at 45 miles an hour, which is very slow. His anticipation isn't very good, and I think he really benefited from playing behind a really good offensive line at Clemson. That being said, if they think that this kid is the next best thing, and then if they think they're a quarterback away from going to Super Bowl, maybe it's worth a shot. But I would love to hear what you guys think about the Chiefs, because like I said, this one was a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, I actually had the same exact pick in my mock. I have them taking Deshaun Watson if he falls. I love the pick there. I think Watson's a project, and I think that they're in a position with Alex Smith where they know what they have in him. They've kind of maxed out with him. And in order to take the next level, it's going to be someone else. But if Watson's not ready yet, they can give him a year or two buffer time. And I just think he's willing to take more chances than a guy like Alex Smith, and that might be what the Chiefs need down the road. So I think at some point they're going to need a quarterback, and I think if Watson's going to fall this far to them, it's not going to benefit them this year, maybe not even next year. And a team like Kansas City, who's clearly good, they're picking number 27 in the draft. It's clearly not a need. They could go elsewhere. But if you're looking for the long-term solution here, I really like the Watson pick.
I have them taking McCaffrey, but he's off the board, so I'm blanking on. I don't know who else they'd take outside that, so I'll jump on board there.
Nice.
Yeah, the thing with me with it is if you look at, the Chiefs, they have the 27th pick, and it's I don't know if they can't not win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith.
Yeah.
I think that their defense is good, and you have to look at, if they're going to draft Deshaun Watson, then they're not wasting a first-round pick, but they're essentially just saying, all right, well, the next 2 years while he's sitting behind Alex Smith, he's not going to – they're not getting any better by drafting Deshaun Watson.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess it really depends on if you think Alex Smith can win a Super Bowl. I don't know if I would say they can, but not drafting a skill player or a defensive player or something like that isn't going to help them get any closer. I don't know if drafting Deshaun Watson right now really helps.
Yeah, and I totally echo what you're saying there. What I question though, by sticking with Alex Smith as long as they have and as long as they potentially could by not taking a quarterback at some point, who are these offensive players that they still need that can get them to the next level? Who can you surround Alex Smith with that's going to get them to that next level? I don't know if that player exists. I just think Alex Smith is so limited with his abilities that you can give these guys jump ball receivers or playmakers or. You saw the offense kind of took a little bit of a step forward with Tyreek Hill, giving him the ball in unique situations, and it helped. But at a certain point, I don't know that there's a playmaker out there that's going to be able to take that team to the next level when Alex Smith is the signal caller, is the guy that needs to be the guy that sets everything up and leads that team. That's where I struggle with it.
The only thing that I guess they could try to do is try to duplicate what Denver was able to do a couple years ago. But that season was more of an anomaly than rather just draft a good defense or just get an elite defense and you could win with subpar quarterback play. It seems like that was more well, that doesn't really always work. It worked once, but doesn't really work. I mean, look at the Super Bowl last year. You had Matt Ryan and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, like you said, though, it probably would have to be that Broncos situation where, I mean, Manning was a game manager at that point. He was heady, he was smart, but physically, and he was limited. But they had that outstanding defense, like you said. So maybe that would be the way to do it, to get another defender that can take you to the next level.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. Do you want to step right into your next pick here with the 28 and the Dallas Cowboys?
Yes. So I'm going to go with Tim Williams from Alabama for the Dallas Cowboys. They need help with their pass rush desperately. They have to take some pressure off the secondary. They can't have their two guys, Byron Jones, Morris Claiborne. You know, they're okay, but like they're not shutdown corners. I mean, they're just not. So I like Tim Williams going there. He's a pure edge rusher. Like, he can rush the passer. Like, he's not really great at anything else, but he can rush the passer. So even if he's a situational player, I don't know if he's necessarily a three-down player, but I think that he can definitely come in, passing downs, and get to the quarterback.
Are you nervous that the Cowboys would go a different route just because of the situation and the experience they had with Randy Gregory?
Well, what's the background with Tim Williams?
A lot of weed.
Just a lot of weed.
Yeah, he didn't even care about diluting his samples. He just said, "You know what? I'm going to fail a test, and Nick Saban, you're going to play me."
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, if I'm the Cowboys, I mean, they need a pass rush. Like, they need someone that can do it. And I mean, you could make that argument with tons of these college players. I mean, okay, if like a lot of these players smoke weed, like that's 100%. Like, half the players in the NFL smoke weed.
Right.
It's not. I don't think it's a do or die all situation. You know,
I'm smoking weed right now.
there's a way to do it without, you know, getting caught, and it's just a player has to just be smart. Like, it's not. I don't think it's a huge deal for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I just feel like sometimes a team gets a taste in their mouth and just they don't want it again. and that taste is weed.
It's the weed.
No, I slotted a defensive end there as well. I went Charles Harris, but yeah, no doubt that they need a pass rusher. I mean, you can just go back to that playoff game where they lost to my Green Bay Packers. Rodgers had all freaking day, and that was a concern going into that game. That was a concern going into that game, that they couldn't get to Rodgers, and then they didn't. So he had all day to pick them apart, and that's their biggest weakness. They need somebody to rush the pass. Randy Gregory is a piece of shit. They need somebody in there to actually stay on the field and not get in trouble.
I mean, are the Cowboys really a team that has ever showed that they really care about character?
Exactly.
No.
That's correct.
Nice.
So
hot take.
He's right.
He is right.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Well, DJ, you just talked about the Packers, so where are they going to go here at number 29?
So I honestly haven't listened to half of what you guys said for the last three picks because I've been like freaking out here. It's so like real life for me, you know. I'm a Packer fan, so I'm like, who do I take? I'm like debating between two guys. I still haven't really decided, so I'm just going to keep talking a little bit here. They're really shallow at defensive tackle, and I can see there's a defensive tackle on the board that we had Jonathan Valencia on. He kind of convinced me on last week. And then there's a lot of cornerbacks on the board, but ultimately their biggest weak spot is cornerback. And after looking, I'm gonna go Marlon Humphrey at this position. He has good speed, good recovery speed, and speed is what Green Bay needs in that secondary. Right now, everybody they have out there is slow. I mean, they were getting beat deep constantly, and I know they had injury problems, but Demarius Randall, like, he was off the field a lot. Quentin Rollins just is not a good player. He's just not that good at all. Ladarius Gunter is an undrafted free agent who ended up being their number one cornerback, and he couldn't cover number one wide receivers. So the secondary, the cornerbacks were just in shambles. They need a guy who can go out there and run with those big, fast wide receivers like Julio and at least be able to cover them somewhat. I mean, watching Julio Jones pick them apart was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my entire life, honestly.
What about when Adam Thielen picked him apart?
Adam Thielen picked him apart. Fucking
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones, that's the
gosh.
other one I was thinking of. Everybody. And Marvin Jones, I think there was 2 times he had nobody on him. Like 400 yards. What did he have? Like 400. It seemed like 400 yards. It was like 200 and something. Just ridiculous. So they need a cornerback badly, and there's lots of options here. My choice is Marlon Humphrey because he doesn't have a great technique, but he has good speed and good recovery speed like that, and they need speed in the cornerback position. So that's why I'm choosing him over Tre'Davious White.
Yeah. Like I said last week, I think, and Jonathan was right by saying you can't just pick someone because of the position they are in, but when there's this many, according to our draft anyway, when there's these kind of cornerbacks left, you can't be too picky, and they're going to take one, whether it's White, whether it's Humphrey, whether it's Quincy Wilson, Adoree Jackson. If all these guys are there when the Packers are picking, and they don't take one of them, I need to get a live feed of what you're doing, because I have a feeling you're like,
it's not going to be good.
Like your head's going to be like smashed up against a wall or something. I just can't imagine how you'll take it.
I will say that if McDowell is there at this spot, they're so shallow at D tackle, and he has so much potential that I wouldn't be angry with him either.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on Marlon Humphrey there to the Packers?
Yeah, I have Humphrey going a lot earlier in the draft, so I think it'd be a really good pick. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever helps the Saints defense. That's what they, or not the Saints defense, the Packers defense. Sorry, I'm thinking about my pick. Sorry. Packers defense.
Everyone's looking ahead. I know I was looking at mine as well. I'm next here at 30 with the Steelers, and I thought I was going to be safe because I didn't think anyone else was going to be taking quarterback. And I've got the Saints actually taking Deshaun Kaiser. And
wait, say the Saints again.
Wait, what did I?
Yeah.
You need AARP, my man.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Because I've never seen home after this.
We're going to have to get you life alert after this just in case you fall on your way out of here.
I was going to say, I'll drive right to the nursing home, but I don't know if I should be driving a car.
Yeah, you're not driving.
Yeah. Well, I apologize. I'm picking 30th with the Pittsburgh Steelers here, and I'm taking Deshaun Kaiser still. Thank you for pointing that out and correcting me. So Roethlisberger this offseason wasn't too shy about saying that he was considering retiring and at least talking about it. And I think everyone's calling his bluff and saying, you're not going anywhere. You're going to keep playing for a while. But I don't know. At the end of the day, he's had a great career. He's went through a lot of injuries, and he does have a Super Bowl ring. So for him just to up and leave wouldn't be 2 rings. For him just to up and leave wouldn't be like the ultimate shocker. So I think at some point that the Steelers need to address quarterback, because I don't think Landry Jones is in their long-term plans. And I talked about this when I wrote my blog for my mock draft, and I said that they need to take that Green Bay Aaron Rodgers approach instead of dealing with that uncertainty that could come by not addressing it early. In the most important position in football. So instead of waiting until he does leave, we have a need at quarterback, that's a lot different than not taking your successor at linebacker or defensive tackle. You don't need to have a successor at quarterback, but we've seen the teams that do, they're in a lot better position moving forward than those that don't. So I really like the Steelers to take Kaiser right here at number 30.
I completely disagree, 100% on this one.
I'll let you go first, and then Mitchell can shut you up with his points, because I think he's going to be on my side.
Well, I mean, they're so close to a Super Bowl, and they need a pass rusher just as bad as I think Dallas needs a pass rusher. Their leading sacker, who led them in sacks, was James Harrison with 5 this last year. They need somebody who can rush the passer. They're so close to a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl win. And then they need to grab somebody who can help them now when you can address the quarterback position later or next year. Roethlisberger does this stupid shit all the time. I hate the guy. Hate him. Hate the guy. He just plays this stupid game like, I might not come back. Everybody knew the dumbass was coming back. Give me a fucking break. I hate this fucking guy more than any guy in the NFL.
All right. Thanks for not sugarcoating it. Mitchell, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I had him taking a defensive player, too. I have him taking McKinley out of UCLA. And, I mean, I don't know. It's not that I don't disagree with your thought process behind, I guess, selecting a quarterback and letting them learn. My biggest thing that I don't like, a lot of people, what they say is they're like, oh, we'll just do what the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. The only issue is there's nobody that's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
I mean, he's a freak. Like you could argue that he's the most athletically gifted quarterback of all time. So trying to compare people to Aaron Rodgers and how the Packers did that. I mean, they were lucky enough to have Favre and Rodgers.
Yeah.
Kaiser isn't Rodgers. I'll go on record and say that right now. So
He thinks he is.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But at the same point, we just don't know. Like, I mean, Aaron Rodgers was at one point slated to go first overall. Alex Smith went instead, and look what Alex Smith is now compared to what Aaron Rodgers is now. So there is a big uncertainty there. And I think that's the cliche thing we say. We just always say Rodgers Packers because that's the one that worked. So
Brady.
Yeah, well, Tom Brady and all the quarterbacks that they've selected.
And also,
have you guys ever seen, like, nobody can see this on the podcast, but have you guys seen my Aaron Rodgers shrine before?
No,
yeah, you got some stains on it. It looks like.
I ejaculate all over it every night before bedtime.
Jeez, aggressive. I think we need to find DJ's address and see if we can't burn that down at some point here. So.
Yeah.
So there's just going to be put a big black light all over that room.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, believe me. You don't want to put a black light in this closet.
Yes. Let's see over today.
Yep. Andrew, were you going to say something? I thought you might have had something there.
Yeah, no, I think this kind of goes back to what I was saying with how Deshaun Watson going to the Chiefs. The Steelers are in win now mode. So I don't know if taking quarterback is the best idea. I don't know. It makes sense to, kind of groom that quarterback for the future. But at the same time, I mean, you all watched the AFC Championship game. Brady ripped that defense apart.
Yep.
And if they have any chance of winning the Super Bowl again, they're going to have to improve the defense. Like, I'm sorry. It's like they're not going to win if they can't stop anyone.
Can the Steelers, though, really even groom a quarterback? I mean, when was the last time Roethlisberger even played full 16 games?
That's true. I have no idea.
That's the thing.
I mean, we've seen Landry Jones and Mike Vick. I mean, heck, he's older than you guys.
True.
He is older than us.
Well, that's good, and I agree. And maybe he can be the third quarterback for a while behind Landry Jones. I don't know, but I don't know.
So
go
you
ahead.
think that like a guy like Kaiser could then just come off the bench and just you got to play right now? Do you think that would be better for him, or do you think he really? I feel like Kaiser might need time.
I think
he might need to be groomed.
I think Kaiser needs time.
You
really
might not want to put him in, thrusting him into a game, and be like, oh, you got to run the offense, go.
Right.
It might be too much for him, and then.
Yeah, Roethlisberger's got a pussy ass injury again. Get in there.
Yeah, you just can't let that guy go, can you?
I can't. I hate him.
Nice. Well, let's move on to the team who blew the big lead in the Super Bowl. Mitchell, you own the Falcons and the 31st pick.
Sweet. That's Falcons. I'm definitely interested to see what they do. But if I was the Falcons, like you just said, they just blew a 28-3 lead. And, I mean, Andrew and I being here in, Boston, I mean, we could definitely attest to, like, watching the game, just kind of seeing how everyone's reaction to it was. And it was definitely surreal. But I guess we'll just go back, to the pick. So I'm going to have them slated as taking Jordan Willis, defensive end of Kansas State. So I think if you definitely just watch the second half of the Super Bowl, you could tell that the Falcons, they came out blazing. Like, I mean, they were getting to Brady and, they were kind of giving him fits. But then the second half, I think they just kind of ran out of gas. And, Brady started hitting them with a few left hooks. And, all of a sudden then they kind of, were cross-eyed a little bit. But Willis, just to give a little background on him, he's Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. I understand Big 12 is, one of the weaker conferences in college football, but still, anytime you can have a Player of the Year out of a conference, I think that's, very impressive. And he was slated last season. He had 80 quarterback pressures, which was the second most in all of college football. And I think at the end of the day, like we always talk about, quarterbacks, I think are very important in this league. We all know that. And if you can find elite players to get to quarterbacks, especially this late in the draft, that's ultimately, I think, it's kind of like a golden ticket. I'm not saying this guy is going to be, that, all be all for the Falcons, but I mean, if they can definitely just get another elite pass rusher, I mean, they have a good offense, so why not just add, another guy like Willis? So that's what I took.
Yeah, I love the pick. Actually, I considered it for a second there with the Dolphins with their need at defensive end. I'm kind of hoping he can slide.
He's still talking though, probably.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's still talking.
Yeah, he's recording himself. So there he is.
Hey, I'm back. So yeah, I love the Willis pick in the actual draft. I hope there's a way that the Dolphins can trade out of the first round and end up with Willis. I really like his potential there. I kind of like Willis more in a 4-3 than the 3-4. I'm with you though on the whole defensive side of things. I think Vic Beasley on one side, and I actually had Charles Harris out of Missouri going to the Falcons. I think that he's more suited to be in a 3-4 alignment, and I think he can really succeed in that role. But with you on everything you said, Atlanta is what it is on offense. They can, if they get better, great. But at the end of the day, they need to improve on defense. And getting another guy that can rush the passer, by all means, sign me up for that.
I don't have much comment on this. I originally had them taking an offensive lineman, and I can't remember why, so I'll have to research that again. I had them taking Forrest Lamp actually at this position. Just to shore up a little more of that offensive line there for Matt Ryan. So, but that's all I got.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the pick too. I think the Falcons could use it, but it's too little, too late, I guess.
Should have had him a couple months ago. Nice. Why don't you bring it home, Andrew? You got the 32nd pick. Since we're only doing a first-round mock, I guess this is our version of Mystery Relevant.
Yeah, so, ideally, in the ideal world, I would trade this pick to the Patriots for Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
That's
what you going to say for Brandon Cooks?
Because, I don't know why they just didn't do it that way in the first place.
I was thinking about that, too.
The whole thing is just kind of just bizarre. But I'm definitely going to have to go with a defensive back just because I think – who would you take with the Saints earlier? It was Barnett, right?
We had Barnett going, yep.
Yeah, Barnett. So definitely got to help in the back end. I was looking at, I was torn a little bit between looking at a safety or a corner. I was looking at Budda Baker because he was kind of on my radar. But then again, the Saints have Vaccaro, who they seem to like, and then Bell, who they drafted last year.
Yep.
So I am going to go with Tre'Davious White at corner. I'm honestly not super in love with any of these corners, but I don't know. What do you guys take on the corners that are left? What do you guys think?
I think there's a lot of cornerbacks left that I still think that would have gone yet that'll probably actually go in the first round that we're missing, but.
I'm right there with you actually, and I like the fit with Tre'Davious White in the first version of my mock that I did. I had them taking White at their number 11 pick.
Okay.
I think he's a really good fit for what they need. Let me see if I can find that stat that I had here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, they were. I said this on the last podcast. They were dead last in yards allowed per game, and I said this in the blurb. Can you name a cornerback that plays for the Saints? I know you mentioned a couple of guys that they have, but it's if you look at their roster, it's really underwhelming. And if you look at the stats to go along with it, you're like, gosh, they desperately need defensive help. So, I think it was Mitch that took Barnett for the Saints at 11. And if they can pair Barnett and Tre'Davious White in the first round with those two picks, I think I don't want to necessarily say they've won the first round, but they're damn close to doing so. Not everyone gets 2 first-round picks, so it's kind of unfair, but that'd be a hell of a takeaway from the first round from them.
Yeah, I think we all have the same idea because I did the same thing, but I said the same thing as you. I had Humphrey going 11 to them, and then the Saints taking T.J. Watt there at number 32, so same idea.
Yeah.
As everybody else has for the Saints. Just stopping the pass in general.
Definitely. Mitchell, you got anything you want to add to that one?
Saints need help on defense. We don't really need to harp on it too much.
There you go. Well, does anyone have any thoughts as we wrapped it up there and just taking a look at some of the guys we didn't end up having? Obviously, Mitchell's best friend, Dalvin Cook, didn't go. Dory Jackson, Quincy Wilson, Charles Harris, T.J. Watt, David Njoku, a couple names to mention there. I just kind of find it interesting that some of those guys didn't go. I want to hit on Njoku with you guys real quick. Is there a team in the first round? I think everyone agrees that Howard's going to go top 10, top 15. Is there a team that you guys really like to take a tight end other than Howard in this draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, who?
Well, I mean, when I look at so we'll start with Njoku. I mean, I look at the Dolphins and I look at the Giants.
That's what I was
Yeah.
So when I look at the Dolphins, I mean, they just signed Julius Thomas and whatnot, but what's his name? Gase has been, his entire career a tight end whisperer. So I think he could definitely work with somebody who's athletic like Njoku. I mean, you want to talk about just a kid who's just absolutely just gifted.
Yeah.
Njoku, and I mean, he could learn a little bit behind Thomas. And I mean, Thomas hasn't really been proven that he can even stay healthy. So
right.
I think that would be an interesting fit. And yeah, I mean, the Giants throw the ball a lot. I mean, why not just get another athletic guy? So that was a position I had slotted. So
the Giants is exactly what I was going to say as well. They could definitely benefit from a tight end, an athletic tight end in that. And I think those are just a guy that Eli likes throwing to his tight ends when he has a good one. So
yeah.
Yep.
I definitely love the Giants pick. Do you guys have any other players that you're like, yeah, just the way our draft kind of broke out, we missed someone, just whether it was a trade that didn't happen or one of us picked a guy we shouldn't have. Is there a guy in a team that you guys also like that we might have missed?
Charles Harris, I'm surprised didn't go. Now that I heard that, I mean, I probably would have taken Harris over. But I got to keep a better track of mine.
Over Tim Williams, I think, is what you were going to take him over.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like I said, I don't even really know who's available on our board, so I got to keep a better track of that. But
yeah, I think I would have taken Charles. I think you were going to say the same, but Charles Harris over Tim Williams at the Cowboys, I think is who I would have taken there.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other
Do we really think that, or I have one thing, so do we really think that all 4 quarterbacks are going in the first round?
No, I think 2 are.
Yeah, I have 2 slotted as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's like, I don't know, how many quarterbacks went last year in the first round? Was it just
the top 2?
No, it was, and then Lynch.
And then Lynch went to the Broncos.
So 3.
There was some stuff on Twitter yesterday about I think it was Matt Miller said like latest buzz, and it was 2 quarterbacks going in the top 10. So I think if 2 quarterbacks go in the top 10, then we might see 3 or 4 go. But
yeah, I've been hearing a lot about Holmes going in the top 10 now. I mean, I've heard that's been really picking up, and I mean, Gruden.
Josh Dobbs.
No, give me a break on Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Right? He can't even grow hair.
Dude's a rocket scientist. Like, I get it, but I mean, like, we've never seen a really smart quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, not be able to do it in the NFL. I mean, just because a guy can build rockets doesn't mean he can actually, pass the ball. It drives me nuts. Like, the guy's not going to be out there doing mathematical equations. I mean, it's...
this whole last minute is my favorite in podcast history. Nice. Good. I think we should end on Josh Dobbs can't grow hair. Anyone else have anything that can top that?
No, you got to get off dial-up and get on Wi-Fi, regular internet.
Yeah.
Breakups.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll be at the nursing home if you guys need me. But thanks, everyone, for listening. As always, find us on Twitter at LoadedBox. Like and share the Facebook page. Find us on iTunes if you haven't yet. Leave a review. Make sure you get subscribed. And then we have our NFL Draft first-round mock that we've been talking about. So make sure you hit us up on Twitter if you want to get in on that. So that being said, thanks, everyone. Enjoy the draft, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Later.